Part 3, watercolor tone scales, graded, wet on wet. So you'll need a new cup of water. You're going to dip your brush in that new cup of water, and then you're just going to go ahead and paint just clear water onto your graded scale. So go ahead and paint just clear water into that section. Again, this technique is called wet on wet. So we're going to be painting wet on wet, so wet paper with a wet brush. And you're going to go back to that pigment that we mixed in the beginning, and we're going to start in that middle rectangle again, painting the middle part of the rectangle, then painting the edges, and again you're just pulling the pigment. And then what's going to happen is, as we're putting the pigment onto that wet canvas or watercolor paper, you can see how the water kind of pulls the pigment down and starts to bleed or create that graded wash. And that's what we're looking for. Then you want to clean your brush off. And we're just going to slowly pull that pigment down with a nice wet clean brush. So what we're just doing here again is just spreading the pigment down that scale and just pushing it lighter and lighter. As you're working, you should be taking your time and again comparing your graded scale with the stage scale above it. And again, you're going to repeat that same process of dipping your brush in the water and then using that clean water brush to transition the pigment down the scale. Okay, so just like what we did in the stage or the scale before this, where we kept dipping our brush into the water to make it lighter, you're going to repeat that same process. Now if I start to compare my scales here, this area here is a little bit too light, so definitely going to go back and add a little bit more red pigment there. And then as you put in that new red pigment, you want to make sure that you also grade that down the line as well. So you're going to go ahead and again wet your brush and slowly move that new pigment that you added down the scale so it matches. Okay. So as you're doing this, just keep comparing it and make sure that your transition is nice and clean. And again, use good craftsmanship and take your time.